welcome to BBB Trust Talks. My name is Carla Laird. I'm the manager for community and public relations at BBB serving mainland BC. My co-host and event facilitator is Prerna Sharma, and she's our marketing and events coordinator. We are already almost halfway through Small Business Month and into the 4th episode in our limited interview series. For the entire month of October, we will be connecting with some of our accredited small business owners across the province, learning about their business, hearing about their experiences as entrepreneurs, as well as some of the lessons they've learned along the way. And of course, finding out more about the teams that support the day-to-day operations of their business. Today, we will be connecting with a dynamic duo from Bug Master Pest Control, an accredited business based in Kelowna. This is actually the first time on BBB Trust Talks that we will be chatting with a business located in the Okanagan. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce both Steve Ball Jr. and Tessa Wensel. Thank you both for joining us on BBB Trust Talks today.
Thanks for having us.
So to kick things off, I want you both to share a little bit about yourselves with our viewers. And, ladies before gentlemen. So Tessa, why don't you go first? Who is Tessa?
Yeah, you bet. So I have been here in the Okanagan for over a decade now, originally from the prairies over in Alberta. Before coming to the Okanagan, I was in Vancouver, where you guys, I think, are, for about 5 years. And I've been here with Bugmaster running the back end for almost 6 of those years now. Seeing it grow quite a bit along the way, and having a great time doing it.
Awesome. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, my name's Steve, and I was born in North Vancouver, actually. Moved here very, very young age with my parents. Spent basically my whole formative years living in Kelowna. And then I jet-setted to the opposite of Tessa. I went to Calgary after. She came from there. So did a little studying at the University of Calgary there, and then decided that the winters were just too darn cold. So I moved back to Kelowna.
I have friends in that side of the world, so yes, I can understand how you feel when that time of year comes around. Well, staying with you, Steve, just to give everyone an understanding about Bug Master Pest Control, what is the birth, or at least the story behind the birth of that business?
Yeah, so the economic downturn of 2008 rendered my dad's used car business a little bit not the best. So he pivoted to different industry, the pest control industry, and tried to tackle that. He needed some help, obviously, getting started, being at a little bit more of an advanced age than I am in the age of technology. So I moved back from Calgary to help him start that. And it was very grassroots, flyers door to door to try to drum up that initial business. And we've been doing a pretty good job of that and moving forward from there.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So following up on Carla's question, we know that Bug Master Pest Control is family owned, and that your dad was the one who started the business. So one of the things many entrepreneurial parents struggle with is the fact that their children might not be as interested in or passionate about the family business, but you clearly are. So why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
So good question. There's a lot of challenges, especially in the Okanagan. It's one of the world's most expensive places to live. And so really, get ahead and stay ahead. You need to just go into business for yourself, take control of your own destiny, so to speak. So that was really the main driving factor for me wanting to come in and help out at that point. Kind of starting at the top as opposed to the bottom, it goes a long way.
Absolutely. So you've been in the business world for about 10 years now. Throughout your journey so far, what brings you pride as a small business owner?
Yeah, so, being part of the economy, the Canadian economy, small business really drives that. And to allow, our community to have some job placements and those kinds of things that go along with owning a small business, and to see the success and the growth of it is really what I take the most pride in.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's not very, I suppose, it's not very common when you hear a business owner say, they don't take pride in what they do. So, it's very good to hear that you are a part of that club too. So One of the things that you had mentioned was about the fact that your company has been around for a while, and I think it's almost, if not over a decade. And reaching that 10-year mark, especially in the crazy year that we're having, is an absolutely awesome accomplishment. So congratulations to you and the team for doing that. But if we focus specifically on the products and services that you offer, and maybe even the areas that you now serve, how would you say the company has evolved since it first started?
Yeah. So, well, when we first started, we had a small office space in my dad's house that we used to shuttle Tessa back and forth to do our accounting. We've recently purchased a brick and mortar sort of building to house all of our various equipment and supplies and stuff. We've opened up actually a retail center offering, domestically available products to our consumers for those that are maybe a little bit more inclined to try things themselves. We also offer, the main pest control services for people that are not so inclined to try things themselves, or maybe
Like
can't
me.
for one reason or another, or don't want to, more specifically. Our service area is pretty wide. For whatever reason, we'll go and get things done as long as it's in BC. Obviously, that's where our license ends, but we have done work all the way from Osoyoos to Revelstoke and up into the northern parts of BC as well.
That's pretty good to know. Yeah. So basically, if you do have a need that falls within your list of services, you are willing to go out there to help that consumer.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's great. Tessa, I want to bring you into the conversation now that we've grasped how Bug Master came to be. As the cornerstone and crucial sidekick to this Bug Master operation, when did you join the team and why?
So it was almost 6 years ago. It'll be 6 years in March or February, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was, so my partner in crime works for Bug Master as well. He's one of our lead technicians, and he's been around for about 7 or 8, I guess now. Yeah, they needed just a spot that needed to be filled. They were getting a little bit busier. This was, where the summer started to really, really outgrow themselves in terms of, being able to tackle both the internal processes as well as the out in the field, solving issues in people's homes. And so they asked me to come in 2 days a week to just help out. And from there, I found a lot of areas where I could, put my skills to use, and kind of just grew it from there to full time and beyond. And now I'm the man, the woman with many hats.
That's great. It's always great to have many hats. So now that you juggle so many hats, what does a day at Bug Master look for you?
Yeah, so depending on what season it is, I mean, right now we're kind of slowing a little bit, easing out of the pests and into insulation. So for me right now, it's a lot of quote preparing with the Steves. I do marketing, advertising, scheduling, bookkeeping, payroll, CRM,
You name it.
all of the things. So it's nice. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps nothing is ever boring because I'm generally doing a wide variety of things every day.
It definitely sounds like nothing is the same. Diversity comes, and I'll definitely take that. So for you, Steve, you come from a business-focused, entrepreneurial-minded family, and you guys are no stranger to crisis. You actually mentioned where, your dad had to pivot the business from the vehicle industry into pest control during the 2008 recession. Mm-hmm. So, and that's a large part of why Bug Master even exists today. So your business now has to go through the COVID-19 pandemic, which is another huge crisis, especially for the business industry in BC. So how did your business pivot or even adjust when the pandemic hit?
Yeah, so good question. COVID-19, for whatever reason, has impacted us very positively, actually. It seems like, when people are away for 3 or 4 months, nature has a tendency of taking things over. And by nature, it includes the insect world as well. So if you combine that with the rainy spring and the hot summer, we had the perfect breeding ground for insects. We had people that were inside their homes quarantined that may not have normally been there, noticing these pest issues.
Right.
And we're also designated an essential service. So we really didn't skip a beat with COVID. some of the clients were a little apprehensive about having people into their homes, obviously. So there was a little impact there, but really overall, I think that it's been, a blessing.
Well, yeah, you're actually one of the first industries that we've spoken to that actually had a positive impact from COVID from the get-go. So that's actually really good to hear that while, there are some negative stories, there are some good ones to take out of everything that has happened as well. That's good to hear.
Absolutely. Tessa, one important question that keeps coming up in my conversations with consumers concerns the strategies businesses have implemented to keep staff and customers safe. Talk to us a little about some of the steps Bug Master has taken to keep the staff and customers safe, especially since the nature of your service sometimes requires you to enter people's homes and even other workspaces, maybe?
For sure. You know what? It's nice because we have had all of the tools that are necessary for, pandemic, like going forward in a pandemic approach prior to this happening. Whether it's the medical grade sanitation or, we carry gloves on us, we carry, respirators, we carry masks. We've had opportunity to have, not only just the stock available to put that forth in all of our practices going into people's homes, but it's something that we have readily available to us from the get-go. So it was easy to be able to, touch base with our customers and let them know, whether they're new customers or existing customers, that we are prepared, we have the sanitation, we have all of the PPE that is necessary to make sure that you are not going to be affected, or we're not going to be affected should there be an issue with you coming down with COVID-19 when it was brand new.
Yeah. I think just listening to that, your response, it points out that it's important to have the right strategies in place from even before chaos takes place. So, especially for your industry, you had all the right protocols being implemented. You were using the right level of sanitation from the get-go. So once, chaos started to, take place, it wasn't a tailspin situation for you, but more of continue doing what we're already doing, which is awesome. And I think that's an important tip for businesses out there, especially now. Yeah.
There are so many different, unknowns in the pests that we deal with, whether it's hantavirus or Lyme disease or any of those things that we need to implement those practices into what we do for our staff as well as for our clients already. So whether it's a rodent cleanup where you're dealing with feces or droppings and urine, you need to have that down pat.
Those safety measures in place.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So following up on Perna's question that she asked the last time, the fact that consumers are actually still willing to reach out to your company during this time means that they trust you to provide quality service and to also keep them safe. And, just hearing what you're saying, you validated why they would continue to, utilize your business. So Steve, I'll start with you. Why is trust such an important part of your business model?
Well, trust is paramount to, I think, any successful business. If you've got a client base that doesn't trust you, you're not going to have a business for very long.
That's right.
Especially in our business where we're in and out of people's homes, that trust factor is very important, with bonding and stuff like that. Lots of people are concerned about strangers coming in, especially during, a pandemic, but we have that trust sort of, we've had it since the get-go just based on our practices. So that's nice. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the hallmarks of a good business is having people trust you. So.
Yeah. Tessa, as someone who probably has more day-to-day interactions with the consumers, what would be your take on why trust is an important part of the business?
There's a few different reasons. I mean, we deal with a lot of phobia for a lot of the times, I'm either the first point of contact on the phone and, dealing with somebody who's very stressed, somebody who's very scared of, certain insects or rodents. And there's a lot of potential on the other end of that too for invaders to cause structural damages. And of course, health hazards, whether it's mental health or physical health, insect bites or the fear of infestation. So, when people come to us, they're oftentimes feeling very vulnerable. And I think it's really important to ensure that foundation is, built on trust, because otherwise you're not going to be able to help somebody else if they don't trust you. As well as you know, in the Okanagan, there's a lot of rental properties here, whether it's owners that live here all year round, but maybe not in the same household, or owners that live in other provinces or other cities. So a lot of times it's renters that are experiencing pest issues, and the owners aren't able to be present to entrust us with, you know, determining anything but with their hands as well on deck. So they rely on us to ensure that their property and their renters are both well taken care of, and that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to what you said, you know, it's actually bringing up a lot of things that maybe people don't recognize about the pest control industry. You're not just removing pests, but you also have to deal with the fact that people might be traumatized, stressed, overwhelmed about what they're experiencing, and uncomfortable too. So you guys really do have a lot of responsibility, and trust is even more important in situations like that.
Yeah, especially being the first point of contact. A lot of responsibility lies on you, I'm sure.
And keeping people calm in that, Matt.
Yeah. So keeping in the theme of trust, right, Steve, your company has been BBB accredited since 2013. Take us back to that time and explain, why you decided to join the BBB family.
So BBB, this is something that, you know, my dad, even being in his now 70s, has always sort of looked at as something that if you are accredited, then you are a good business. If you are not, then it's a bit of a crapshoot. So it was important for us to get the little torch on our cars, because we wanted to show that to the community. And Better Business Bureau always has that how do you say? It's one of those industry standard kind of things that people recognize sort of immediately. And so when you do have that standing behind you, it means that, you've got that sort of in the bag before you have to start, you know, whereas other folks maybe they don't.
Right. So COVID-19 has placed the spotlight on the importance of trust in the marketplace. Whether or not the company is for profit, consumers want to know that businesses will do their best to take care of them, right? So part of caring involves how businesses support the communities they operate in and serve them as well. So how does Bug Master Pest Control contribute to the community?
So the very nature of our business, I think, is what allows us to contribute the most. You know, keeping pests and rodents and all sorts of creepy crawly things away from people's houses, away from businesses, so that we're providing, you know, clean, safe environments for people to go and work and enjoy. I think that is the very nature of our business, and that is what is contributing to the community. Also, you know, we're part of the economy as well. You know, we've got several staff members that maybe wouldn't have jobs otherwise. So there's that part of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think while businesses are giving back to the community, I think it's also important that consumers, you know, have or take on the responsibility of buying and spending locally, and, you know, especially during these times. So as a business owner, if I'm going to flip the script and look at it from the other direction, why is it important that people invest in and support BC's local small businesses right now?
Yeah, I'd say now more than ever. You know, like I said earlier, you know, the small business community is really the driving force of the Canadian economy. And so as small business goes, so does the economy. And obviously everyone wants that to be healthy and strong. And the more you can shop local, shop small, the better it makes it for everybody, whether it's a direct relation or not. That the kind of overarching theme there is true.
Absolutely. That's part of our, campaign as well, to promote local businesses as much as possible. So part of a consumer's decision to carry out a transaction includes them seeing something unique or possibly identifying and connecting to something about a business. It could be something as simple as how a representative from the business spoke to them on the phone, or maybe a special service being offered. I'll extend this question to both of you since you have different roles in the business. What would you say makes Bug Master Pest Control unique when compared to other businesses in the pest control industry? Steve, you can go first.
Okay. We've got a couple of unique features, I think, that are specific to Bug Master that I'm not aware of any other pest control company having. One is we've owned our building now for the last year. It just goes to show that we're sticking around, you know, in our community here. We're not going to pack up and leave after people have paid the bills. You know, we're going to be a hallmark of pest control in the Okanagan for years to come. So as far as I'm aware, we're the only one that actually have that. Another interesting factor is we've kind of determined that we need to be a one-stop shop for bigger projects like attic restorations. You know, people get rodent trailing, and that's an unsafe environment, and that air transference from the attic to the rest of the house can cause potential health risks. And so we have our entire separate insulation division that no other pest control company has, so we can handle everything in-house.
That's great. Tessa, what about you? What do you think, Bug Master Pest Control has unique as compared to the other businesses?
For sure. And I think that we do try to sit down and brainstorm and foresee, you know, like where clients and consumers' needs lie and how we can best help them. And I think one of the ways that I'm really proud of is the DIY Center. There is not another company that I know of that's doing that. And you know, for me, because I'm here all the time and I'm generally, you know, able to help out a lot of these consumers that come into our retail store, you know, if they've got an issue, the difference in having a pest professional that's able to fully understand the scope of the problem and using that ongoing education that we have and that we're lucky to have to solve those issues is you don't really see that anywhere else. And I think that that is really special. We're not selling faucets or lumber in, you know, our spare time. It's only pugs and rodents and, you know, what we excel in that we're able to help you out with. So having that knowledge base, I think gives a standard of client education that I think is really important, that I think gets missed, you know, where these consumer products might be purchased elsewhere. I think that having, you know, even just some of those tips and tricks of how to figure that out with integrated pest management without even, you know, potentially needing to always go to chemical or always go to, you know, some of these products. There's so many tools that we have that we're able to share one-on-one as a consumer with you when you pop in here. The same goes for that insulation division. I mean, an attic remediation work for rodent cleanup, for example, is a really big job. And you typically would otherwise have a lot of different trades in where things can get lost in translation quite easily. The timing can be a mess, and how stressful I can only imagine that is for a homeowner who already, you know, has the unpleasant surprise of having a bunch of unwanted guests up in their attic, where you have one person to come in and control the rodents, you have another person to come in and remove that insulation, you have another person to come in and seal any access points, you have another person to come in to sanitize it. And, you know, I can just imagine that it's not a very nice experience. So I'm really proud that we're able to provide that as a one-stop shop and kind of take that off of their mind that, you know, we can do all of this for you.
Start to finish.
Yeah. You mentioned something just now, Tessa, the DIY Center. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that's our retail center. So it's, you know, focused on, you know, people who want to do it themselves over having somebody out to do it as a professional service. And, you know, for the DIY center, it's a wide range. I mean, it's everything from mattress covers to sprays to live traps to, you know, everything in between. And, you know, not everybody wants to have a professional service for one. Maybe not everybody has the budget, especially in COVID times, to have a professional service out, where this just gives you a little bit of a gap there between, you know, just stopping at a hardware store and picking up something that you see on the shelf to actually knowing what you're getting, knowing how to apply it, knowing when to apply it, knowing how to apply it, and giving you a bit of a break there and just how to best control the issue that you're having.
Okay, awesome. So as we approach the end of this conversation, I think I want us to switch gears to what I suppose the life lessons and tips for those who are watching today. So, you know, Tessa, since you just spoke, I'll probably just start with you. As a woman working in business, managing as much as you do each day, what are some tips you would share with other women juggling work and family right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Give yourself some downtime, and definitely don't shy away from putting yourself out there. If you know that you have a skill and you know that what you're able to provide is going to be beneficial to the company that you're working for, make sure that you are using your voice. Make sure that you're also not working yourself too hard, or at least getting that balance between work life and home life. My partner and I both work here, so we have to especially figure out that kind of balance between not bringing your work home with you, and so forth and so on. But I think that women are exceptionally smart individuals, and just as a group, and that confidence is key, and just making sure that you're using your voice to help benefit the growth.
That's great. That's a great tip. I'm sure one of our listeners will definitely take heed of that. So, following up on Carla's question, how do you balance work and family as a business owner?
Yeah, good question. The business owner part of it does allow me a little bit more flexibility than some other things would. But our industry is essentially seasonal. It's the busiest time for us is essentially between St. Patrick's Day and Halloween. So for that time, we're pretty much hard at it. But after that, it does have a tendency to slow down during the winter months. And so that gives you the opportunity to sort of recharge your batteries for the upcoming year. Gives you a lot more time to spend with the friends and spend with the family, especially over the holiday seasons, which I think is very important, and just is sort of the way the industry is here. It's a self-fulfilling cycle there.
That's great. Steve, what would you say are some of the things that have contributed to the endurance and success of your business?
Well, I think that the number one thing for us has been just offering a quality service. Being a service industry, there's a lot of variance in what people will do or can do or want to do. And you should really be striving to go above and beyond for your customers if you want to stay in that industry. With things like products, right? You can kind of buy them wherever you want, and whoever has the most buying power kind of has the lowest prices. Service industries don't work like that. You really have to prove your worth in every situation with your customers. And the more that you can do that, the more longevity you're going to have. And I think that we've done a really good job ever since day one of providing a quality of service that is hard to find in the Okanagan.
I agree. Going that extra mile is always going to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, following up on Perna's last question, what would you say is the most difficult challenge you've had to overcome as a business owner?
Yeah, the most difficult challenge has been staffing. There's a lot of, it's not a particularly glamorous industry. It's not, you're not driving around in a Mercedes and going to the courthouse. You're down in attics or up in attics, down in crawl spaces, cobwebs and rat and mouse droppings. And, it's a little bit hard to sometimes entice people to want to work in those environments.
Yeah, you're not helping me right now.
Yeah. So staff has been tough, but, we've developed a very solid core group of individuals here that work very hard. And that is going to be what is going to allow us to expand. But that was certainly a challenge, and still is. If there was a lot of qualified people that just wanted to hand in resumes today, I would probably hire some today. But it just is not, like I said, that attractive of an industry. And maybe people don't really know, the benefits of working in the pest industry either. It's not something that you wake up as a kid and say, hey, I want to go be a bug guy. Whereas you might want to be a firefighter or a policeman or something like that, right? So that's definitely the number one challenge is staff, for sure.
You just spoke about benefits of being in the pest industry. Can you quickly highlight a few benefits?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's a seasonal industry, so there's lots of downtime over the winter time. If you're a skier or snowboarder, this might be the perfect thing for you. It's something that gets you out of the house. It's something different every day. It's something that is a benefit to the community. So it's something that you can take pride in. There's a lot of longevity here, and there's also some money to be made if you know what you're doing and you're good at it. So there's lots of benefits to it. It's just, I guess, getting that out to the public is a little tricky.
Right. Tessa, since your time at Bug Master, what would you say is the most difficult challenge the company has faced? Is your answer different?
I think just managing growth in a way that everybody is able to be present. I mean, I think for me personally, seeing us and putting in the steps for us, whether it's marketing and advertising expertise or, finding ways to really get one-on-one with our client retention and that personal level is, I can only kind of go so far in a small business with two very active owners that are in the field. So I think that's kind of just navigating how we can best work all together when it's super busy in the summertime, where we're still able to grow throughout that process, because, the Steves are very good at what they do, and they're often called into the field quite often, which leaves me kind of doing my best to make the right calls and to make the right decisions that are going to, see growth along the way.
Great.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing too is that, your business can be small, it can pack a punch, but what's important is having skilled people and a good support system to help you navigate not even just the day-to-day tasks, but just the overall growth of the company. That's pretty much what I'm getting, right?
And according to Tessa, great coordination skills as well.
Yeah. So Steve, as we come towards the end, what are some tips you would share to consumers shopping around in your industry right now?
Yeah, good question. There's lots of different pest control companies out there, and there's very few barriers to entry if you wanted to, even start your own. So that being said, there's a lot of variance in although the applications or the treatments might be similar, there's a lot of variance in the quality of service that you're going to find and the pricing as well. So you have to really get down to some research within the companies themselves and decide what you like about them and what you don't before you make that decision to hire one. Because like I said, there's so much variance. It's often you get what you pay for. Sometimes you don't. So you need to be a little bit cautious and do some research and pick the right one for you.
Yeah,
Right.
Very good takeaway. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of shopping around, Tessa, how can consumers get in touch with you about your products and services? Of course, there's, your business profile on the BBB website. But apart from that, how else can consumers get in touch?
For sure. Yep. We've got a Facebook. We've got an Instagram. Feel free to find us on both. I try to be as active as possible in the summertime, but during the winter and fall here, we feel the big uptick in, tips and tricks for around your house. On our website itself, bugmasterkelowna.com. You can contact me day and night, anytime on the live chat. It's me on there, not a bot. So, whether it's that or email, we're always here to answer your questions, or pop by down to our DIY center and you'll likely get me or Steve Sr. We're just over on Breeden Road, 1980 Breeden Road here in Kelowna. And we're open here Monday to Friday.
Awesome. I mean, I'm not likely to need pest control in Kelowna, but I will definitely come by at least bring my husband to the DIY section.
Yeah.
he would enjoy a space like that. And I think if you have a partner out there that's into DIY, just bring them there. You never know what they'll leave with, right?
Or we should have like a husband's retreat and send all of them there.
And all of them there.
The male version of a spa day.
Yeah.
So just like that, we've come to the end of another interesting and entertaining episode in our BBB Trust Talks series. Thanks again to Steve and Tessa from Bug Master Pest Control for joining us today. It's always exciting to connect with our BBB accredited businesses in the Okanagan. So if you are in that area, if you're in need of pest control services, or you know someone who is, you can always reach out to the Bug Master Pest Control team for support. And if you're, into DIY pest control skills, you can always go to them as well. So we hope you learned something new and that you will join us again this Friday, October 16th at noon for our next episode. But until then, take care and be safe.
Thanks very much.
Bye. Bye, everyone.